to find you on YouTube. It's under Bright Girl Media, right?
Yes. And we should actually be live at this point. So, hey, everybody. It
Hey,
is
y'all.
Chanelle. It's Chanelle and Andrea. And
Hi.
yes, we are here with the Bright Girls in Business show. We are a little bit late. Don't worry about it. I'm out of town. I'm out of town, as you can see. And let me mute. There we go. All right, let's have this conversation. I'm out of town. As you can see, my background is a little bit different this week, and that's okay. And I was stuck in traffic coming from visiting my family. And yeah, that's how we got here. But it's all right because we're still going to have a great conversation. And we're going to learn so much about personal branding today with Miss Andrea Farrington Patrick. Yes, and I love her. I love her energy. She and I met a couple years back, in networking circles and things like that.
That's why it's important. That's why it's
It's
important.
why it is important, because I promise you, after I met her, I was like, oh, I love her energy. We met at Market Street for lunch one day,
Yes.
and we just, we've been girls.
Gosh, it's been years because
I
it's been a
know
few years.
it's been
Because,
a minute because I was living in
yeah,
a whole city, not like outside of Dallas, but I was living in Allen at the time, and I
you're
moved.
not in Alice. It's been a minute.
It's been a
COVID
minute.
done jacked us all up because I didn't know
All
you
the
had moved
way.
out of Allen.
Yeah, yeah. I actually moved out of Allen before COVID, so that tells you how long.
Oh, wow. We telling on ourselves.
Yeah, a little bit. We haven't been to Fish City Grill in a while.
Oh, gotta go
I've
back.
been. Let me say this. I was actually there probably about a week and a half ago.
Well, see, I'm not eating inside of restaurants right now.
Me
So
neither.
but
Oh, uh-uh.
the they have an outdoor patio, but it's been chilly. We've tried to eat out a couple times past month or so, but usually it's a Friday night, like for date night or whatever. But usually it is the wind is cool. It'll be nice during the day, and then at night it'll be like 60s and breezy, and doesn't make for a very fun night out on a patio because it's a little chilly.
Yeah, I got you. I haven't really been doing the indoor dining thing. Me being out on this trip now has forced me. Last night I sat down inside. It was a little
Hmm.
different. And I
Hmm.
actually, let me tell you what the weirdest experience is. I know this has nothing to do with our topic, but we can.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
The weirdest thing for me was sitting down at a table inside a restaurant. I'm like, all right, let's see how this rolls. And then they were playing live music, and I realized I hadn't heard live music in over a year. And I was like,
Mm,
oh my God, this music sounds so good to
I
my
know when you
ear.
miss it.
Yes,
Hmm.
I was like, oh my, it was just like this aha moment. I was sitting there and I was like, I haven't heard live music in so long. And
I got somewhere. I have somewhere we're going to have to go in Dallas. It just give me a minute. Let it warm up a bit. But yeah,
all right, I'm all for it.
they have live music, girl. Live old school hip hop
Oh,
and a
okay.
dance floor.
All right. Well, let's
Well,
think.
the live part is actually. Well, I'm not going to tell you because then you know where it is. But we'll
Okay,
we'll we'll have to figure it out.
we'll get there. So
Hmm.
listen, let's get right on track because I really want the people to know all about you. You speak about just being you and creating a brand out of who you are and being profitable that way. And I think that is so cool. A couple weeks back, I had Rena Williams on the show, and we talked about lifestyle branding and things like that. But what you do is slightly a little bit different. And I really wanted to talk to you about, um, what really got you into it. I know what got you into it because we've already talked about this, but, tell people what brought you to this point of recognizing that having a strong personal brand was important for people.
Well, okay, so I'll give you the version. This is what happened. This is the tea. Okay. So I was about 30 years old, and I'm sure people can relate to this. When you're about that age, you start to question, like, why is this always a situation in my life? Why am I always fighting this same battle? Or I'm so sick and tired of dealing with these same types of people or being in the same situation. And so a lot of times we will blame our circumstances. We will blame people, our parents will blame. And a lot of that does contribute to it. But ultimately, you do have to take responsibility for it yourself. And so what I realized was after doing a little introspection, like looking at Andrea, because you can only control who you are. You can only control your reactions to what is done to you. You can't control other people. And the sooner we realize that, like that's the first revelation. But once that happened, it was about how can I operate in this life and not always be so concerned about what the next person is thinking or how I'm going to be received or, and so during this introspection, a couple of things happened. One, I figured out what I liked, disliked, and what my non-negotiables were. Number two, I realized that I was an adult, and as long as I could deal with the consequences of my actions, I could do whatever I wanted to do. Pretty much. So, and I learned that no is a complete sentence. I don't have to put anything but a period behind it. It doesn't have to be a question mark. I don't have to leave like a ... I don't have to give an explanation. It doesn't even need to be an exclamation point at the end. I can, as an adult who can deal with the consequences of her actions, say no and stop. Okay. So those are the three things that I figured out around 30 through this introspection. And what I learned was after that happened, I was able to navigate the world a lot easier because now I'm just being me. I'm not like trying to please someone else. I'm not trying to live up to someone else's expectations on my life. Because I'm sure, people listening to this have had someone say, like, for me, I was good at math in school. So all of my family, you need to be an engineer. You're Black, you're female, you'll be great at that. Okay. So I tried that route, but it didn't suit me. And it wasn't until I decided to go into marketing and one of my bosses during an internship was like, yeah, I figured you'd be changing your major because, he told me, he was like, if I put you in a hole, I was going to school for industrial engineering. He said, if I put you in a hole by yourself, he said, you would kill yourself. You pull all your hair out being alone. You need the socialization. You need to be around other people. And he was right. So for me, there's been a long journey to where I am now, where I talk about personal branding. In the past, I talked about it as personal branding. But what I am coming to understand is that it's really about leadership. It's really about looking at how you can show up as yourself and become the influencer or the person that is going to provide value in an organic and authentic way. And so now what I say is I help you, what did I say? How do I say it now? I have it written down. Let me tell you, because I just changed it. So I've been doing it a little bit differently. I help you. So this is what I say. I help you be more efficient and effective and aware as a leader. And that is how personal branding can be leveraged to help you achieve the success that you want. Because ultimately, it's not necessarily you becoming the brand as much as it is you being able to leverage who you are to successfully build your brand. And in leveraging who you are, that's where the leadership comes in. That's where you being more effective, more efficient, and being more aware as a leader is going to help you grow your business. So as of 2021, my YouTube, my podcast, and anything that I'm talking about on social media is more geared towards helping you become more efficient and effective and more aware through the leveraging of your personal brand, which is more CEO mindset level.
Yeah.
Which is why I changed the name of my podcast from the PB and Style podcast to the CEO Mindset podcast. And that CEO stands for consistently evolving and being open to failure and failing fast.
Wow. Okay, wait. So you said a whole lot. You just
I know.
And I'm like, as you're talking, I'm like, oh, whoa, okay, all right, okay. I want to stick to that. You said consistently evolving and
being open to failure and failing fast.
let's talk about that. Let's lean in real good and heavy right there. Cause you said a whole lot of other stuff I want to talk about too. Man, that's good. Like, I don't even think you know how good that is, but it's real good. Um, because what I find, my tribe is typically African American women in business.
Mm-hmm.
And what I find is that we are so afraid to take risks,
Mm-hmm.
so afraid to fail, that we end up failing anyway because we're not taking the necessary strides to propel ourselves forward. So, what would you say, or how do you coach your clients to fail forward and fail fast? I think, man,
I did a podcast recently with one of my cousins who is music. She's a singer, and her husband is her producer and her musician. And we were having this conversation, and I was talking about the CEO mindset. And she said something that just had my mind go. And I'm sure maybe people have heard it before, but I had never heard it up to that point. But she said, to fail is your first attempt in learning. So if you look at fail, the word, it's your first attempt in learning. So you want to fail fast. I don't know if you've ever heard of, I'm sure you have because you're in marketing, you're in sales, but you've heard of 100 no's gets you to your first yes.
yeah.
Okay. So the reason that works, and salespeople talk about that so often, is because they want you, whether you're in a network marketing company, whether you are in like selling cars, whether you're whatever type of sales you're in, you want to get through as many no's as possible, as fast as possible, so that you can get to the yes. And sometimes the no is not going to be 100 people, but your goal is to find out what that ratio is. So you want to go as fast as possible. I want to talk to as many people. It's a numbers game. Sales is a numbers game, whether you are selling a car, whether you're selling Tupperware, or whether you're selling your service as a coach. Sales is a numbers game. So the faster you can get through those no's, the fails, the faster you get to the yes, the success. So it stands to reason that you want to consistently, and if you want to interchange that with continually, you can evolve, which means you really need to actively pursue knowledge, pursue information as it relates to your zone of genius, so that you are always in the know. You're always ahead of the curve, and you're not the one that's coming tailing in behind, not knowing what's going on. So you want to always be reading and looking for that next best thing. So that's consistently evolving. You want to grow yourself. You don't want to stick to, stuck in your ways and not listening, because look at Clubhouse. Social media is crazy. Algorithms change all the time. You have to be willing to do something different, and you have to constantly be searching for that thing. So you have to consistently evolve. Then you have to be open to that, to all those no's. You got to be open to that and not be afraid of it. If you read any book on leadership, if you read any book about a millionaire or a successful person, they will tell you, this is my 18,000th try at this, right? And so people they just keep going until finally something clicks, all the dots line up, and then you see what it is you need to do to get to that next level. So that's why you always have to be learning, and you have to just fail as fast as possible. Those are the two lessons I learned in 2021. Fail fast. And the second one was done is better than perfect. Hey, those are my two.
I love that. I'm going to tell you what I really like about it is the fact that one, when you talk, especially when you're talking about sales, because I used to shy away from sales so bad. I own my own business for years and just would not want to get on the phone and sell to people because I did not
still do, Chanelle. Chanelle, it's still a problem. It's not the rejection I don't like. I just don't like trying to, I don't feel like I need to convince you. If I got to convince you to do it, I'm not going to sit and argue with you.
That's my whole approach, right? At this point. I'm not going to convince you. What I will do is I will present the options. I will let you make an educated decision. When we get to the point of a rebuttal, I'll remind you of why you got here. The solution. Yes. Do I have the solution? Yes. If you don't see the value and you don't want it at that point after I've laid it out, I'm not going to, I'm not a pushy salesperson. But what I found is once I got beyond that whole mindset of people saying no to me and me honestly, transparently taking it personally, I was
Yeah.
able to do what you just said and get on the phone and just talk to people and roll through them. And then, oh, boom, okay, somebody buys it. Great. Now I got to, I made a $10,000 sale. That's wonderful. Now I can move. Now I have that momentum and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so now I'm gonna get the next one. Right.
Yes.
But you have to push yourself enough or, like you said, evolve, continually evolve, learn, stretch, grow yourself. When you get on these
Mhm.
calls and you're talking to people, listen and evaluate yourself. I had to learn how to do that, like on the fly. Like, okay, last time I said this, and when they asked that, I should have said
Mhm.
that. So next time
Mhm.
I'm gonna go around this corner,
It
and
even helps to have those objections because as like you, I'm sure you tell your clients, I tell my clients, there are going to be some consistencies in everybody's objection. When you talk to someone, is I don't have enough, I don't have the budget.
money.
I don't have enough bandwidth. I don't have a team. I don't have enough time. Whatever it is, 9 times out of 10, there are about four to five main objections that people have
Let
in
me
your
talk to
industry.
somebody else, my spouse.
Yeah, in your industry, right.
Growing up a lot.
So when you know what those are, after you've gotten them 5 or 6 times, now before you make your sixth or seventh call, sit down and come up with an objection how you're going to overcome that objection. Just sit down and write that out. And so then when someone gives you the objection, now you have a script that you can like, yep, you know what? I've had a lot of people say that. And here's kind of how I help people overcome that obstacle. One thing I've learned, especially when people say they don't have the money, my
Mhm.
question is it really that you don't have the budget, or is this just not something that you want to add to your budget right now?
Good
Because
question.
because we all have the budget for what we want to do. We will find the money to do what we want to do. So typically when someone says no because of money, it's not because they don't have the money right then and there or they can't get the money. It's that what they want done is not a priority. It's just not a priority right now. So that's kind of how I look at it. And so the no is not a no, I don't like you. I don't want you in my life. I don't think you're worthy. It's a no. My priorities just aren't where I need them to be to say yes. That's how
And
I look at it.
sometimes I find when I'm selling and I'm talking to people, it's not that they don't trust me. It's not that they don't see the value in what I have. It's not that they don't know that they need what I have. Sometimes they just don't trust themselves.
They're afraid. They're
Yeah.
afraid of the success sometimes too.
Yeah, yeah. And so it's like if I do this, I have to step up. I have to,
I've got to show up.
I gotta show up.
The onus is on me. The
Yeah.
onus is, and that's what I don't know about you, but when I'm working with someone, I always say, marketing is not an exact science. This is not, I'm not going to give you a pill and fix your problem. That's not what this is going to look like. I'm going to help you with some strategies so that you can optimize what it is you're doing and achieve the result that you want to achieve. But ultimately, it's your responsibility to take what I'm giving you and put it into action. Can I do it for you? Sure. My marketing agency, we do the done for you product, but that's expensive. My
Hmm.
DIY over here, though, I can help you and tell you what you need to do, guide you. But yeah, ultimately, are you ready? The question is, are you ready to invest in yourself? Because you're not investing in me, you're
Yeah.
investing in you.
Yep. That's absolutely true.
But then
So,
there's the mindset. You got to have that mindset, the
and
CEO mindset. You can't be afraid of it.
that's where I was going. That's exactly where I was going. So let's talk about that. Because we see a lot of people now, launching businesses, getting out here, starting things. Um, and one thing that I'm not sure that they take account of is the mindset that it takes to show up, step up, to be the brand like you're talking about. And so, for somebody that might be thinking about starting a business, or maybe they have an idea, um, or maybe they just see somebody else doing something and they feel like, hey, maybe I could do this too, because that's some people's reason. Um, what would you say to them to prepare them for the work that's ahead on like their personal brand?
Well, the first thing I would say is you really have to get clear about what your value actually is and how you came to that knowledge. That's the first thing when I work with someone is a lot of times when I first start with a coaching client, they go, I didn't know I was going to have to go through all this. Like I thought I was just going to get, but I dig deep because it's really important for you to understand how you got where you are. Why did this solution that you are going to be selling, why did that work for you? What steps did you have to go through to determine that this was going to be helpful to other people? You have to do all of that background stuff first, because when you go to sell something to someone, I'm a firm believer that you have to meet people where they are. The worst thing you can possibly do and get you to that no really, really fast is to sell someone, try to sell them like car salesman. Like,
oh yeah.
No, you have to say, you know what? I recognize that you have this challenge. You want me to tell you how you got that? Because I've had something very similar happen, or I've solved that problem for someone else. I can tell you where that comes from. You want to know? And then I'm like, yeah, I want to know because I don't like the problem. And you say, well, this is kind of where I think the problem, this is where I found the problem comes from. And what I did to get rid of the problem was X. Well, how you got rid of the problem is what you're going to sell, right? But you've intrigued someone now. Now they know, well, she understands my problem and she knows where the problem came from. That's exactly right. That's exactly what happened, or something very similar. Well, they know that they can relate to you. People don't care what you know until they know that you care, period.
That's true. So
period. True. So gone are the days when you look at a Nike swish and think, oh, that's the best shoe on the market because of the Nike swish. No. Big corporations have really ruined that because you have to trust the person behind the brand, which means you've got to walk the walk that you're talking. You can't just talk it. You got to walk it. And so you need to be able to show up. So that's why it's really important for you to do that work ahead of time. How are you related to this product or service that you are selling? And then where are the pain points of your customer that you can meet and touch on in an authentic way? So that's why you really doing the deep dive is so important. You can't just like say, oh, you know what? I know how to do X and I'm going to sell that. I'm going to coach people on how to do that. Well, okay. You may very well be qualified to coach people, but no one's going to ask you for your help if all you're doing is selling them. Hey, I've got 50% off this month. Hey, I'm doing a workshop this weekend. And if you do this, I'll do this for you. That's just not how people roll. You have to show up. And so the background is so important.
I love that because my brand was built as a personal brand. Honestly, I built the personal brand before I built the business. I think I kind of did mine a little backwards from how most people start, because I wasn't intentionally going into business. I branded myself so that I could continue to get corporate contracts and stuff, because I was doing a lot of corporate contracting. And so I needed to show up as Bright Girl Media and, the Bright Girl, the person who has the solutions to your media, problems or whatever. And so it evolved into something else. And so I think I kind of backdoored my way into building a personal brand, but I don't think most people think about it that way, because they're thinking about the product or the service and selling and getting the money. They're not thinking about the connection that it takes to build that trust with people, to let them know that you are the expert and that, you are their solution, because
and you have to know that for yourself. Like you've got to know how you even came to this to begin with, because someone's going to ask you at some point. They're going to go, how did you come upon this? How did you find the solution? Well, you can't say, oh, so-and-so told me. No, how are you living this out yourself? And you know what else, Chanelle, it does that people used to say, I used to be afraid to speak in front of people, not because I didn't know what I was talking about or that I was afraid of people, because obviously my personality, I don't really spook too easily.
No, you don't.
I don't intimidate easily. But one of the things that really made me nervous about speaking in public was if someone asked me a question, what if I don't know the answer? That was very scary. Then I'll look like I'm not credible. I won't come across credible. Well, after doing all this work on myself and developing this like personal branding sort of mindset, what I realized was no one, you and I do very similar things. No one has my perspective on marketing but me. No one is approaching this subject matter from my experiences, from my influences, or from my passion. No one. So what that says to me is I don't have any competition. So when someone asks me a question while I'm standing up there and I'm, speaking, whatever answer I give them is from my perspective. It's not meant to be this end all, be all. It's from my perspective. And I'm very well versed in my perspective. So my answer is going to be right. Even if my answer is, you know what? I don't really know the answer to that right now. But based on what I do know, I can tell you this, but that is coming from me. And I don't have to, so then I don't come across as knowledgeable. I just come across as someone who is very knowledgeable in her perspective, right? So it's important for us to really understand who we are and how we relate to what it is we're selling, first and foremost. That would be the first step, I would say.
I see a lot of people, and like you said, we do similar things. The tactical things of what we do, how we approach it is somewhat different. And that's fine. And I don't intimidate by sharing space with other people that do similar things, because like you said, you don't do what I do, I don't do what you do, and it is what it is, and it's more than enough out here for all of us.
Oh yes.
And I champion and I celebrate you, and if it's something or somebody that comes along and I feel like they're a good fit for you, I'm like, hey, go over there, this is your person, not me.
Well, I certainly think we're a powerhouse on podcasts, because I think this is what, the third one we've done together.
Yeah.
Look,
now that you said that, we might need to start our own podcast.
I know, right?
Honey. Look, now I just thought about that when you said that. Like, yeah, we have been on here.
Yeah, we've done multiple things. Yeah.
But I think that this collaboration, just like this, it comes from self-awareness, and it comes from recognizing, because if you don't know who you are and your value to the marketplace, then everybody is a competitor to you. And everybody, you come in and you have this chip on your shoulder, like everybody is trying to take something from you. And it's like, no, your lane is your lane, and where you're supposed to show up is where you're supposed to show up, and who you're supposed to serve is who you're supposed to serve. And so even with that, I find a struggle that a lot of people come to me with is they're not social media people, meaning they don't want to be outward, or they don't want to show, honestly, they don't want to show up. That's the best way that I can say it.
I've found that to be too. People say that, and I'm like, you don't need social media to be you. Like, why, I don't understand what one has to do with the other. Basically, you take pictures of yourself all the time on your phone. You're doing, kids' pictures and things. Okay. So really all you're doing with social media is relating to your audience. Like, for instance, I'm pushing my business, I'm pushing my brand towards the leadership space where I am showing you, like I said earlier, how to leverage who you are to be more effective, efficient, and aware as a leader. Okay. Now, I could go on social media and consistently talk about leadership and social media, like leveraging I could do all that. But ultimately, what I want to show you is that in my pictures, I want you to see I am living my best life because I am being authentic to me. Is that something that you want for yourself? Because if it is, I've got some tips and techniques to share with you. So if I am in Mexico on a beach sipping on a Mai Tai and I take that picture of myself, how did I get there? How does that relate to my business? One of my girlfriends was telling me this the other day. She told me I was doing this exercise. I'm in this program. And I was doing this exercise. I had to ask a couple of people, why did they come to me for advice? What what do they see my expertise as? Surprisingly enough, Chanelle, I asked 5 people this. None of them said that it was what I thought it was. So I'm thinking that I'm talking to people about personal branding and how to apply that to their business. And this is kind of what led me to the leadership thing. All of them said, Andrea, or some version of, you helped me find my focus. You helped me understand how to communicate better. You helped me to identify how to teach people how to manage their expectations of me and me of them, that type of thing. So where I'm sitting here thinking that I'm teaching you how to promote yourself because now you know who you are and all that stuff. No, everyone is saying, Andrea, you are teaching CEO level communication, leadership skills, because what you're saying is this is how you navigate the world as a leader, as yourself. And she said to me, she said, she told me that I wasn't, what did she say? You're not relatable. That's what she told me. But she said, what I want you to she wasn't saying it negatively. What she was saying was, she said, you want to help everybody. And so you will come up, you want people to know that you are just like them. You are building your business. You're not like, I'm no, Marie Forleo or, I'm no Jenna Kutcher or, I'm not that person. So I'm just like you. I'm building my business and here's how I've been doing it. Let me help you do it. And she says, no, Andrea, no, you're not just like them. You are trying to help people who aren't there. They're not, their mindset still needs to change. And you need to be with people who have identified that their mindset needs to change and they're ready to make that change. And so we can't walk into these, this like, I want to start a business and think that we can just sort of jump into a pool and be everything to everybody, right?
Yeah.
You really have to pick a lane, and, your personal brand is the tool that you are going to leverage on that journey.
So when do you feel like you came to that point? If your friend is seeing this in you and she's seeing you as more aspirational, you've gone through the transformation. At what point in your own business and your journey do you feel like you had that moment when it was like, okay, I need to shift into my lane of genius and who I really am? Well,
it was a while ago, but I still try to, when you're in business, okay, so you're in business, you want to make money, right? The goal is to make money in your business. That's why you're in it. And for a long time, I started off talking about your signature style. And then I went to your personal brand. And this is something that I want people to really get, because I think people get discouraged when they see the evolving part happening. They get afraid and then they listen to the naysayers and they think that what they've been trying to do isn't working. Well, your passion, I say this in my classes, in my programs, coaching, all of it, your passion is going to take a journey. It's going to evolve. And as you learn it and understand how it is supposed to actually work in your business, things are going to change. So I've never considered myself as a failure or anything like that. It's just, I'm not tooting my own horn. That's not what I'm saying. But I know how to do a lot of stuff. Okay. I'm a licensed cosmetologist. I'm a fashion and wardrobe stylist. I have a marketing degree and I do that. I know how to edit podcasts, edit videos. I know how to publish books. I mean, we operate in the same space, right?
Yeah.
But you have to identify what it is you really want to do. And I've always known that I want to operate in the online course space. I've always known that. But editing podcasts, doing social media management for people, all of that became my marketing agency because it was the way to make money to fuel the one thing that I wanted to do. Yeah. And so what she was actually saying was something that is something that I didn't recognize on a certain level, not the way she said, but on a certain level I recognized, because I knew that this agency that I've created wasn't the end game for me. It is a means to the end.
It's funny that you say that because that's me too, but go ahead.
Right. It's a means to an end. And I love helping people, but you get to a point with that model where you have to have a team of people. You have to, like, you just have to expand. Whereas when you take the route that I've wanted to take for the past 10 years, from that online course creation space where you have the evergreen, so I can get up and be on that beach in Mexico and sipping on my Mai Tai, chilling while I keep getting text messages because money keeps popping in my account. Okay. You have to do these things to prepare to get the money to do this stuff over here. And so I recently invested in myself, which is why I was asking her these questions, because I recently invested in myself into this program that's going to get me where I need to be on that front. But my agency is still here and I still love it. And I'll still continue to do it. But it's a way to bring that coaching to the masses and not have to do it one-on-one, because it just gets to be a lot when you're a one-woman show and you have to wear every single hat. Yeah,
it does. And you're right. When you do get to a certain client load, it's like, okay, where's the help? Because I'm about to pull my hair out over here. So it's so funny because I'm talking to you and I feel like we're on parallel journeys in a way. So before we wrap up, tell us, who is your ideal client? Who do you love to serve? Who do you love to work with? And what outcomes can they expect to get from working with you?
So who I'm looking for, who my ideal client is someone just like me. Her name is Vanessa. I've given her a name.
Yes. Mine has a name too. Hers is Nicole, but okay. Go on, Vanessa.
Yes. Vanessa is like me. She is someone who is trying to build her business, but she's very well versed in her knowledge of what it is she's trying to sell. However, she's not really clear on how to navigate the promotional waters, the leadership waters, where she can be as effective as she needs to be, where she can sort of create the processes and structure around her business where she can be efficient, be productive. And she needs some help and guidance in putting that together. And then someone who she's also a smart cookie. She doesn't mind a little DIY, right? But I'm building this membership group that's ultimately going to be a part of the big thing that I'm doing. And that's kind of what it's for. It's for people who want to get in and have the community support, encouragement, inspiration, but need a little help in that structure development and leadership development skills. And so, and marketing and all that is wrapped up into it. But I would be very happy if, I know you do a lot of the done for you products on social media and all that. So, hey, if I can help you develop who you need to be on those platforms, hey, I'll be happy to send, or share the wealth, because for me, the passion comes in helping you really identify who you are and how you want to represent yourself online.
I love that. I think that's key. Because you can go in so many different directions. If you don't have a solid grounding in yourself personally first.
Foundation is really the foundation of your business. If you don't have that.
Yeah, you can be make tossed and driven by all these different whims and trends and this.
Well, you build a house. You build a house of cards, because if you don't have that solid footing in place, you could build. And I've seen it happen a couple of times. You can build an amazing business on a house of cards, but it just takes one card to fall out of place and the entire thing comes down. But when you have set a solid foundation and you've built a business, be the brand, be you in your business, put the be you in your business is what I say. When you've done that, you're not building on a house of cards. It might take you a little longer, but your house is going to be sturdy. You won't be able to blow it over.
Well, that just encouraged me, because I'll be honest and transparent, as I typically am when I'm talking. bothered me for a very long time that a lot of people in what I call my freshman class, people that started out with me, they seem to be on this rocket, like pew, they just went up. And even people behind me, like that came years after I started my business, it seemed like they just went. And I'm just like, man, I'm sitting here putting in all this work. We're in the same, cohorts. We're, we on the same trajectory in the beginning, and then somehow they just took off. And I'm like, man, what am I doing wrong? And I recognize a lot of my missteps. However, I also recognize that what I'm building is a lot different. It's not a trend. It's something that I want to build to actually either sell or to replace myself as CEO and go and do something else. And so, that foundation, that strong foundation had to be laid. In the beginning, I was doing a lot of what you said. I didn't fully know who I was and how I wanted to show up in the marketplace, which is why I didn't show up in the marketplace for a while. And so I think it's very important for people, especially now, because there's so much competing energy, so many competing voices and all of that other stuff, to really get what you're offering and what you're saying so that they can have that staying power. And guess what? Even if you start a business and, you're selling windows today, tomorrow you could actually shift and do something else. And because you are solid in who you are and what your values are, the product or the service,
you have to fail fast. I just said it. You fail. You have to have you have to be open to that failing fast. And the other thing that I'll say too is the value of that personal brand is there are going to be times where you are discouraged. You feel beat down. You feel like it's never going to happen for you. And like you said, you see people who came after you, before you, that have skyrocketed, and you're looking at yourself like, what in the world am I doing wrong? I used to up until last year, I would look at myself and say, I don't understand. I feel like I have every single piece of the puzzle. I'm missing one. I'm missing one piece to this puzzle of success, and I cannot figure out what it is. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I started this program. I wasn't missing a piece of the puzzle. I have the pieces of the puzzle. I didn't know that some of the pieces that I thought were like being built on were like 5 pieces that should have gone together. Like I had them and I just needed to click them together to make them work. So it's not always that you're failing. It's just that you gotta, it's time for you to invest in yourself to understand how the pieces go together. But when you've done the work to develop that foundation of your personal brand, your likes, dislikes, non-negotiables, and understanding what that value is you're bringing to the table and how it relates to your audience, then when those days come, that's what will swing you back to balance always, because you can always go back to the reason I got into this was because I wanted to serve this group of people. And that's the other important thing, is to knit yourself so way down that there is no competition. That you get into this big pool of people, everybody's doing the same thing. How are you going to differentiate yourself? You can't figure that out until you know how you're showing up for your customer base and how you relate to that. Because then you can say, I'm serving all African-American women who started a business and they're over 40 and they're trying to do their second act when they are empty nesters and they want to be the ones that teach people how to swim with the dolphin. That's how niche down you can get when you are okay with what it is you're trying to do and who you're trying to do it for, like how you relate to them. And maybe you get to that point because you went to Aruba, you swam with the dolphins, you learn how to teach people. You're like, you know what? I can do this as a business. I'm 49 years old, but I can get out there. You know what? I'm going to teach other 49-year-old women. Okay, guess what? The 28-year-old women who are being taught by the huge, company, they're not looking for you. Right. And the 48-year-old ladies are not going to that company. There you go. That's how you do it. But it starts with you and how you relate to your audience.
True. I'm glad you said that, because I have to fight with people sometimes about that niche down thing. They're afraid that they're leaving something behind. And I'm like,
you should be leaving something. But if you're not leaving something behind, you're doing too much.
You're doing way too much. It's so many people I tell, no, I don't do that. They be like, I need help with my social media. No, I don't work with that type of business. No, not being shady. I just don't. That's not my lane. That's not my expertise.
That's what you know yourself, and you stay in your lane.
What it is. It is what it is. So I have a comment I want to address here, and then we'll wrap up. But someone says that they don't feel like they have a solid foundation. They have too many things in their mind, and they get caught up on what to start with and or how to implement them all.
I have a fix for that.
All right, go ahead.
Asana. Asana, ASANA.com. It is a free tool. It's a project management tool. And I would be happy to share with you how to use it because I love it. I'm an ambassador for them. But basically, I am. And basically, what you do in Asana, a ton of things you can do, but to help you solve that particular problem, you will create an ideas, a high value and ideas board. That's what I have. And you brain dump in there. You brain dump all of the ideas you have in that board. And then you can come back to them and organize them if you need to. You can come back and add to them when you need to. It's a mobile app. You can put it on your phone. So if you're at the doctor's office and you come up with an idea, you can jot it down in there. But you have to do a brain dump to get all that stuff out of your mind. And then you can come back to it and flush it out. And I also create templates inside of my Asana for my podcast and for my YouTube videos. Strategy development. I have templates so that, let's say I have a podcast idea. I'm like, oh, I want to do that for my podcast. Well, I can go into that template, duplicate it, and it's got everything I need in it. What my topic is, all that stuff that you would have to remember to think about. And then you can also do your steps. So like I know, okay, if I'm going to do a podcast, you've been on my podcast, so you know that you'll get my baseline questions, you'll get my checklist, you'll get email about dates and times and all these things. I don't have to think about that anymore. I don't have to remember it because when I'm ready to have someone come on my podcast, I'll go look at my template, I'll duplicate it, change the name to whoever's going to be on the podcast or whatever it's about. And I just go through and check off and make sure I do everything. That's how you maintain consistency. And that's how you get it all out of your head so you don't have to think about it. And those ideas are gold. Even if they're not for you today, you might stumble on something, a collaboration, and you realize, you know what, she's the perfect person to help me flush that idea out. And then you have it. You've already been thinking about it. You've already jotted it down in your Asana. You've added a few little notes. Boom. Brain dump in Asana. That's how you do that.
I love that. I love that. And what I love Asana too. I use Asana in my own business. And what I really like about what you just said is something that I preach and I preach and I preach and I preach. And I'm going to preach it. And then I'm going to get off the soapbox. Is having systems in place that are repeatable and scalable. Because if you're just trying to do this stuff off the top of your head and just trying to, wing it and whatever happens, whatever sticks to the wall, you're going to feel like that.
But that's where developing your personal brand is so important. I mean, we're building the foundation, people. So this is why I get so passionate about it. And I'm sorry if I'm like, but I love helping people with this because a lot of these objections, like I don't like social media, I can't organize my thoughts. They come because you've not really stepped into who you are. You've not owned you because you don't have to fall prey to someone else's systems. You can develop your own systems. If you know that, you know what, I don't like to get up at 7:00 in the morning. I don't want to do that. Okay. So you know that. Well, set yourself up so whatever you have to get done that day can fit within the time frame that you needed to fit in. You don't have to be, because I used to think that I had to get up and work out at 5:00 in the morning. That's not me. I have calendar blocked myself to be up and work out between 11:15 and 12:30, or between 12:15 and 1:30. That's what it is, 12:15 and 1:30. My clock goes off like clockwork every single day at 12:15. And that's my signal to get up, go upstairs to get on my treadmill. And I give myself from 12:15 to 1:30 so that gives me 30 to 45 minutes to do my workout, and then 20 minutes so I can eat my lunch and then get back on my desk. Because I know myself. when you have identified what I call them circumstances for optimal success, when you've identified your circumstances for optimal success, you can set those parameters around your life and your business that not only help you manage your expectations of yourself and other people, but it helps you teach people how to manage their expectations of you. All this falls in lines with you. You got to get you right, because how else are you going to tell someone, you know what? I don't work on Sundays. I don't.
Hey, me neither. And I'll tell them in a minute. Don't text me.
Yes. I don't work on Sundays. I don't work for you on Saturdays. And if you need me to, and my podcast, I record my podcast every Wednesday, 10, 1, or 3. I set my parameters around what I need to be successful. I know when I'm my best. So those are your circumstances for optimal success, but it comes from you.
I love it. I knew this conversation was going to be great.
And we could go on all night. That's the problem with us. That's part of the problem.
I know.
That's why we don't do it so often.
We're gonna have to have you come back. And like I said, look, in a minute, me and you gonna be teaming up and tag teaming on this podcast. I mean, this is stuff that,
well, you know what, we could definitely do a series and we can have them bounce back and forth between your podcast and my podcast.
Don't tell them that.
Okay. All right.
Look, call me. Okay.
All right. We got it. Stay tuned, everybody. Stay tuned.
Look, call me. We'll talk about it. All right. So tell the people how they can reach you.
Oh, you can absolutely visit my website, AndreaPatrick.com. And I have a little present I want to give everybody, and they can go to my website, and it's AndreaPatrick.com/the-B-U-guide. And I have a free guide that helps you with some tips on how to leverage your personal brand.
Thank you. I love that you gave our guests something. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
And the link is in the comments, and it'll also be in the notes or the description of this.
Perfect.
This video. Lord,
it's really, the guide is so funny because it talks about something that you were talking about earlier, and people think that building their business looks like you have a product, you tell somebody you have a product, and people buy the product. They think it's as simple as that. But I have a diagram that shows you just how wrong you are. That's what I'll say at the end of that guide. So you check that out, and it will help you understand. I think it answers the questions: why does it cost so much to have a marketing representative? Why it's so important for you to understand a lot of this stuff for yourself and have and come to the table with some answers. Is really going to help you when you're working with people in your business. And it's going to help you understand why working with a marketing professional is necessary.
I love it. Y'all go get the guide, check out Andrea, and stay tuned. We might be teaming up. We didn't tell you we was teaming up, but we might.
You got to stay tuned. You got to pay attention. You got to pay attention. Consistently evolving. Consistently evolve.
There you go. Follow us on social media. And
AF Patrick.
There you go. AF Patrick on Instagram. And y'all know, follow me at Bright Girl Media on Instagram. And also make sure that you subscribe to this channel so that you can they know about my channel too? Yeah, I don't want to step on toes, but you can find me at Andrea Patrick Official. You can type that into YouTube and my channel will pop up. And I've got tons and tons of content about how to leverage your personal brand. Boom. So between me and her, y'all have no excuses on how not to market yourselves. All right. None. There we go. Thank you so much. Thank you. Great. I mean, I'm sitting here like, oh, this is good stuff. Thank you. I've enjoyed myself, which I always do. So, you always got a yes in me, girl. I love it. I love when I have people like that in my corner. Yeah. All right. Well, y'all know where to find me. I'm always here every Monday. Yes, this week I was a little bit late, but I showed up, and that's what matters. Done is better than perfect. There you go. Come back next Monday at 6 p.m. Central, and we'll be back here with a whole nother bright girl in business talking about business. And until then,